Hello, welcome back for session one's independent practice. Okay, if you need to pause your video and fill in some information here, you can do that. I'm going to go ahead and explain each of the boxes. They wanted you to fill in as many ideas as you could about grouping shapes or group shapes. Remember, we are putting them into categories. Okay, so first of all, what does it mean to group shapes? It means to sort or organize shapes based on how they are alike, how they are the same. So we look at the shapes and we organize them or we sort them based on what they look like and if they are the same or if they are different. Okay, what did we learn in our last little part? I learned that I can group shapes by the number of sides, the number of angles, the length of their sides, and the number of right angles. We actually wrote that on our last worksheet. Okay, so some examples. I drew shapes with 4 sides. You might have done something different, and that's okay. Notice that all of my shapes have 4 sides. They all look different, but if we count their sides, there's 4. I also did shapes with all sides that are the same length. I drew a square with 4 sides the same. I drew a triangle, 4 sides the same. I drew a rhombus with 4 sides the same. And this one is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I drew a hexagon with all sides the same length. A third way I showed an example was shapes with 1 or more right angles. So I drew shapes that had at least 1 right angle. They may have had more, but they had at least 1. My square has 4. My rectangle has 4 right angles. My triangle had 1 right angle, and my 1, 2, 3, 4, my quadrilateral, remember quadrilateral, 4 sides, my quadrilateral had 2 right angles. Okay, if you need to take some more time to fill this in, go ahead and do that. Okay, number 2. You can use opposite sides to group shapes. In the shapes below, the opposite sides are the sides that do not touch. Circle the shapes that appear, that means they look like they have opposite sides that are the same length. So notice these 2 sides look to be the same. And these 2 sides look to be the same, so I circled it. This side is way too short. It does not match that side. So that one doesn't work. Notice that this opposite side seems to match that opposite side. And even this opposite side seems to match. So I circled it. Same here. If I looked at this side and compared it to this side, notice that that length is about the same as this length. So my opposite sides do match. So I circled it. Now this one was tricky. I had to think about this one. Look at how long this bottom one is. Oh, the top one is short. So even though these are opposite sides, they're not the same length. And same with this one. This one is a little bit shorter than this one. It's hard to tell, but they are different sizes, so this one doesn't work. Okay, page 680. Okay, in number 3, one way to name or group shapes is by the number of sides. For example, this shape has 4 sides. Write the name of this shape. That was that word we learned, quadrilateral. If you need to say it, I think it's fun to say, quadrilateral. Quad means 4. Okay, number 4. Another way to group shapes is by the length of their sides. You can use a ruler to measure the sides of the shapes. It's the same thing we did in the practice. So notice you should have had the triangle as an S because some sides have the same length. A for triangles. Our pentagon is an S. Our square is an A because all 4 sides are the same. N for our quadrilateral because no sides have the same length. And I put an S for our rectangle because some have the same length. Okay, and in number 5, you can also use the number and type of angles to name and group shapes. Shapes can have no right angles, some right angles, or all right angles. Tell how many right angles each shape below has. So remember, if you needed to use a ruler or a corner of a paper, you can tell. Our square has 4, which is all right angles. Our triangle had 1, which means some have a right angle. And our last shape here, our quadrilateral, has no right angles. So I put 0, or we could say none. Okay, that is the end of session 1. I'll see you for session 2.